on the full moon day of May, the ascetic Gautama became the Buddha. So on that day, Buddha or Buddha to be went to the Bodhi tree. Right? He sat down under the Bodhi tree about sundown, sunset, and then practiced meditation. So he practiced meditation and the mindfulness of breathing, anapanasati meditation, and he gained first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, and fourth jhana. And then he gained also the immaterial jhanas, first, second, third, and fourth. And then during the first part of the night, he gained a supernormal knowledge, a great knowledge by which he could remember all his past lives. He gained a knowledge by which he could remember, he could recall all his lives in the past. And that happened during the first part of the night. We will divide the night into three parts. So during the first part of the night, he gained as far as the supernormal knowledge. In Pali, it is called abhinya. So he gained that knowledge. So he was able to see his past lives. And then he went on practicing meditation. And during the second part of the night, he gained another supernormal knowledge. By that supernormal knowledge, he was able to see beings dying from one existence and being reborn in another existence. So he saw, as it were on a screen, say beings dying and then being reborn. So he was able to see that good karma produces good results and bad karma produces bad results. So that supernormal knowledge he gained during the second watch of the night. And he went on practicing, and during the third watch of the night, he contemplated on the paticca samuppada, dependent origination. He take each factor in the dependent origination and practiced vipassana on these factors. Are you familiar with the factors of paticca samuppada, like ignorance, karma formations, and so on? You are not? Okay. So he took each one of the 12 factors of paticca samuppada and practiced vipassana on each of these factors. So he practiced vipassana again and again and again on the factors and the dependent origination, and at dawn he gained enlightenment. That means he discovered the Four Noble Truths, he penetrated the Four Noble Truths, and so he became a Buddha. Now the word Buddha means one who knows, and also one who makes other people know. So there are two meanings in the word Buddha. Now we should understand this, because most people know that Buddha means one who knows, but that is just one part of the meaning. So Buddha is the one who knows and who makes other people know. That means who knows the Four Noble Truths and makes other beings know the Four Noble Truths. Nowadays, People may talk about Four Noble Truths, or they may teach about Four Noble Truths. That is because Buddha first discovered, and then Buddha taught the Four Noble Truths to all beings. That is why they could teach Four Noble Truths following the teachings of the Buddha. Well, Buddha was the person who first discovered the Four Noble Truths and then taught the Four Noble Truths to the world. So the word Buddha means one who knows Four Noble Truths and also who makes other people know the Four Noble Truths. Now, after he became the Buddha, he spent about 2 months under the Bodhi tree and near the Bodhi tree. Now, you may have been to India. No, not yet. Okay, so there are places where Buddha gained enlightenment and where he was born and so on. So Buddha stayed almost 2 months under and near the Bodhi tree. And exactly 2 months after his enlightenment, on the full moon day of what? 2 months after his enlightenment, July, so this month, right? So exactly 2 months after his enlightenment, on the full moon day of July, Buddha went to Benares, Varanasi. It's a long way, but Buddha went there and preached his first sermon to his 5 disciples. So at that time, his disciples, previous to that day, or maybe about 1 or 2 months, I'm not sure how long, these disciples were disillusioned with the Bodhisattva's practice. And so they left the Bodhisattva and went to another place. So after the Buddha became the Buddha, he thought of teaching. So he thought of teaching his first disciples. So at that time they were a distance away from the Buddha Gaya, where Buddha gained enlightenment. So Buddha went to them to Varanasi, or a place called Isipatana. So they were there, and Buddha went to them and taught his first sermon. Now his first sermon is called what? Turning the wheel of the Dhamma, right? Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. So that means turning the wheel of the Dhamma. In that discourse, the first discourse he ever gave to the world, Buddha mentioned the Four Noble Truths. So now we understand how important the Four Noble Truths are. The first sermon is a very important sermon, because in it he disclosed his own discovery and also his main and central teaching. So in that sutta, in that discourse, the Buddha explained to them the Four Noble Truths. And later, during 45 years, Buddha taught the Four Noble Truths again and again. Now, it is a little strange to say that there are four truths. Now, people always say there is only one truth, and different teachers explain it in different ways. That is what people used to say But in Buddhism, there is not just one truth. Buddha taught that there are four truths. So according to the Buddha, or the teachings of the Buddha, truth means something that is true, that is not untrue, that is not otherwise than is stated. So according to this definition, truth can be anything, whether it is good or it is bad. Anything that is true is truth. Now fire has the burning power, right? So when we say fire is burning or fire is hot, we are stating a truth, because it is true that fire is hot and it burns. But that is why in Buddhism, truth may be either good or bad. Now among the Four Noble Truths, the second noble truth is craving. Craving, attachment, greed. So craving is an unwholesome mental state, a bad mental state. But that bad mental state, which is called tanha in Pali, is called a noble truth. Because tanha is the real thing that produces dukkha, that produces suffering. So something that produces suffering is called the origin of suffering. So since it is the origin of suffering, since it is the cause of suffering, it is called one truth. Because it is true, it is correct that it produces suffering. Since it produces suffering and it is a fact, the craving is called a truth. Not only a truth, here it's called noble truth of the cause of suffering. That is because it is discovered by the noble person who was the Buddha. So anything that is true is called truth in Buddhism, and according to the Buddha, there are four truths. So there are, according to this, four noble truths. Okay, now what are the four noble truths? You know them? What are the four noble truths? Huh? The Four Noble Truths. The noble truth of suffering. Okay, number one, the noble truth of suffering. And number two, the noble truth of the origin of suffering. And number three, the noble truth of the cessation of suffering. And number four, the noble truth of okay, this is like a class, not like a Dhamma talk, so you have to do something. So number four, the noble truth of the way leading to the cessation of suffering.